Shabbos, Parshas Titzaveh. On the Choshen of the Kohen Gadol had the names of every one of the Shvatim. Every one of the Shvatim had their own stone, their own color, to show us the uniqueness of every Shevet. We have totally different colors in this spectrum. We play different instruments in this orchestra. We each have our part to play. When discussing how the Urim V'Turim work, we know that if Klal Yisrael needed to know something from Hashem, they had a question to ask. So a Navi, you needed Ruach HaKodesh to decode it, but they would go to the Urim V'Turim, to the Choshen. They would ask a question. The Gemara tells us point blank you have to ask it accurately. Or Nun-Tes Yuma, and you have to make sure to ask it right, otherwise you'll get the wrong answer. But the answer would come back in the form of these letters written on the Choshen. The Gemara points out that some letters aren't in the names of the Shvatim, so there's machlekes different options of what else was written on the Choshen to complete the entirety of the Aleph Beis, so that any message was able to be written. The letters would express themselves, and then the Navi, the Melech, the Kohen Gadol, would decode these letters. This machlekes is how the letters would express themselves, though. Either they would glow, they would light up. I think that's the more commonly shared version. Or the other shita is that they would actually hop around, and the letters would jump together and form a word. They would form a message. Could be it still needed to be decoded, but they would actually move. And I was thinking, there's a message from the Rebbeinu Shalom that is coming down to us. First of all, the message comes from us. It comes from the Shvatim. It comes from Bnei Yisrael themselves. That itself is a very big lesson. But if you want to understand what the Rebbeinu Shalom is telling you, you have to listen to the letters of every Shevet. And yeah, if I'm Louvain, I think it's green, whatever. I'm from the green box, and I have a Vav that's lighting up. I still have no idea what the Rebbeinu Shalom wants from me. What's the message? I have to go across the Choshen, somewhere else, to different location, to different colors, to a totally different style Jew. Yehuda is doing the politics. I'm Levi. I'm sitting. I'm the Levi that was the Rabbanim. If you're Yisachar, you're the Carlebach, the Avrechim. You have to listen to what the other Yid is saying. You have to listen to what the other type of Jew is saying if you want to be able to hear the full message of what Hashem is trying to tell you. Balatanya tells us, I just learned this from 5 minutes ago, that for Klal Yisrael to attain Achdus, total unity, the spiritual being, the neshama, must be the primary, and the body, the physicality, must be secondary. Because if you walk into a room and you look around at the physicality of the bodies there, the people there, even if you look at the way they're acting, they're totally different. Everyone's totally different. How am I supposed to have any unity? How am I supposed to relate to a person who doesn't look like me, doesn't act like me, doesn't come from a background like me, doesn't think like me? He's a totally different person. But if the neshama is the primary goal, the primary feature, and yeah, we also have bodies. The bodies are different, and the people are different. But the neshamas are all the same. We're all trying and striving for the same goal, to get closer to the Rebbeinu Shalom. If that's our primary perception, our paradigm, then the bodies are, the differences fade away. Because your square on the Choshen is a different color than mine. That should not deafen my ears to the message that the Rebbeinu Shalom is trying to tell us. There is a Maisa, true story. There was a bris in Eretz Yisrael. It wasn't Stam a bris. There was a couple that was married for, you ready for this? 34 years. 34 years of waiting to be blessed with children. And nothing. At 52 years old, this woman gave birth to a beautiful, healthy baby boy. At the bris, a Yid got up and shared a story. He said, I know this guy, this family, this couple, woman that lived in America. Years and years ago, 34 years ago. Remember when they got married? And I'm telling you, I was davening along with him. But they weren't having kids. 12 years they were married, and I sat behind this guy every day, and I watched them crying and davening, and every single one of his tefillahs was just, "Rebbeinu Shalom, give me a child." And I watched, and it was breaking my heart. And one day I couldn't control myself, and I went over to him, and I said, "Look, I'm telling you this because I love you, but it's not happening. Come on, it's 12 years. You have tremendous koiches. You can daven for anything in the world. Focus on something that you can get." Sidebar, parenthetically, that was a mistake. He said, I watched my friend soak in the words that I told him for mamish 120 seconds. He just sat there listening. And he said, "I'm going to have kids. And I'm going to keep davening. I'm going to break down the Shari Shemayim until I get them." I said, "All right. If that's what it is, that's what it is." I went home, says this Yid, and I told my wife what I told my friends, just give up. And my wife said, what's wrong with you? The woman knows. I said, "What are you crazy? What are you saying?" And he said, "Look, they're not having kids. I'll tell you what. He tells his wife, "You always wanted to move to Eretz Yisrael. Practically, I never felt like I could do it. It doesn't make sense. Our business is here. If they have kids, I will close up shop, sell the business, and move to Eretz Yisrael. Deal?" She said, "I have to lose." "Yeah, of course, deal." And he promised. He said, "I promise. If they have kids, as soon as they have kids, we'll move to Eretz Yisrael." She said, "Great." Nothing happened. A few years later, this couple moved to Eretz Yisrael. Didn't hear from him since. 34 years after the marriage, I get a call. I hadn't thought about him in years. And he said, "You remember me? Yankel, you remember me?" He says, "Yeah." He says, "Remember you came over to me one day after Shacharis? You told me to stop davening." He said, "Yeah, I felt terrible about that." He said, "Don't. I'm holding my son. Holding a baby boy. I wanted to invite you to the bris." We schmoozed on the phone crying for a little bit. I hung up. I told my wife the news. And as I was telling her, it dawned on me that I had made a promise. So I told my wife, "Look, I'm going to go to the bris. Once I'm in Eretz Yisrael, I'm going to go to Rabbi Chaim and I'm going to ask him for Ataris Nadarim to see if I can get out of this." Because my business is doing great. So this Yid is saying over the story at the bris. He says, "Look, 2 days ago I was in Rav Chaim Kanievsky's home, and I told him the whole story. And I said, look, my business is really doing great. Practically speaking, it doesn't make sense for me to just pack up shop and move to Eretz Yisrael. But I made a neder. Can I be mater neder?" And Rav Chaim looked at me and he said, "The Rebbeinu Shalom changed the entire laws of nature and gave this couple a baby boy just so that you can move to Eretz Yisrael. And now you're going to renege on your promise." Chaim said, "Welcome to Eretz Yisrael." He said, "I'm moving and I'm going to lose an apartment, If we feel the pain of the other Yidden in Klal Yisrael, and when they tell us that they're davening for children, they tell us they're davening for shidduch, and they're davening that their children should be healthy, they're davening to be successful in learning, davening to be connected to Hashem. We should realize that we're all on the same choshen. And if we want to listen and hear the message that Hashem is telling us, it's coming through the mouth of our friends. Especially if they're not like us. We need those people on the other side of the spectrum to get a complete message. And we will be zeicha to hear the message of Hashem and to connect to Hashem and have all of our tefillas answer the tova quickly, exactly at the right time, and bask in the light of the Shekhinah. Gano as Ivom b'chol ha'olam Samechim b'tzeisam V'sasim b'nevayam Oisim b'emor V'tzaroin kal